Have you ever felt guilty after placing a boundary with someone you love? Maybe you second guess yourself, like, should I really place that boundary or should I have just given in? Today, we are unpacking ways in which you can stop feeling guilty after you put a boundary in place. But first, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe because I am Sia the Transparent Therapist, where I help women unpack their trauma so that they can have longer lasting relationships with themselves, others, and Christ. If this sounds like something you are really interested in, why don't you hit the like button so that other people just like you can find this very impactful video. So let's get into it. So first, let's figure out why you feel guilty in the first place, right? Maybe you are so accustomed to being a people pleaser. A people pleaser is someone who will do anything and everything to get someone's approval. Maybe subtly you don't even realize you're people pleasing, but let's say someone comes to you and say like, hey, can you do me this favor? Can you walk my dog because I have to go to work? Deep down you want to say no, but if you're a people pleaser, you might just end up saying yes. Why? Because you fear that abandonment or rejection you might get if you intend to give that person your true and honest answer. Instead of setting a boundary, you tend to waver. Why? Because you don't want to feel the guilt of setting a boundary that actually serves you. And the truth is, you're probably not feeling guilty because you did something wrong. You're probably feeling guilty because you did something different from what you would usually do. So maybe that same person comes to you and say, hey, can you walk my dog because I have to go to work? And you say, no, I can't today. Then all of a sudden you start to feel the guilt because maybe you had the time, but boundary setting is just not something that you're used to doing. Well, the truth is, when you set boundaries, what you're really saying is, hey, I'm putting myself first and my emotions because I know if I say yes to you, that's actually going to be more emotionally taxing for me. When you start to feel guilt, it's also because your brain is not really familiar with it. Your brain is actually more familiar with people pleasing and saying yes or keeping the peace. And then honestly, as humans, all things can't always be peaceful. We have to be okay with differences. And differences can sometimes look like arguments if you don't know how to peacefully have a discussion. And the best thing about it is if it does turn into an argument, you can walk away. When you're setting a boundary, you're setting something new. What you're doing is you're putting a protective factor in place so that your brain can say, hey, it's okay for us to say no sometimes because this is a way of protecting us. For all too long, you've been saying yes to things that causes you more physical or even emotional danger. Think about it this way. For all too long, you spent years over-giving, over-explaining, overextending, and of course, it stops feeling comfortable. That's not necessarily guilt, that's growth when you can say, yes, I am not going to do this said thing. And that's yes to yourself, not yes to the person. So let's bring it back to the truth, right? Boundaries, and I've said this in another video, boundaries are biblical. It's not selfish. There are times in which Jesus went off by himself and said, look, I need some time. I'm gonna go away and be alone to think or be with my Father. That's a boundary. When his disciples wanted to be with him, he said no. That's a boundary. Though I'm sure they wanted to be in his presence, but he said, no, this is for me to do and not you. I'm sure that no hurt them, but really helped to protect Jesus himself. If we're thinking about Proverbs, verse 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. What does guard mean? It means to protect. How do we protect? We put boundaries in place, rules, regulations, so that people know how to treat us and that we can then move forward without the guilt. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, it might take some reprogramming and some rewiring, but it's all too doable. Now, what if I told you feeling guilty after setting a boundary is actually a good thing? I know it sounds kind of weird, right? But hear me out. Guilt is the proof you need to validate that you are breaking cycles. Again, for all too long, you've been a yes man or a yes woman. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. But the patterns in which you've had have hurt you because your brain says, say yes when you're overwhelmed. It doesn't matter. Your brain will tell you, don't shake things up, right? Your brain might tell you, be nice even if it hurts. And the person hurting is you. When we're breaking the cycle, that's guilt, right? But because you're saying no, the guilt now has a chance to pop up and rear its head. And now what do you say to that guilt? I acknowledge you, I see you. But there's no need for me to be guilty because it's okay for me to shake some stuff a bit, right? I'm gonna keep bringing it back to my homeboy. On the Sabbath, Jesus was doing some stuff he wasn't supposed to do. He didn't feel guilty about it though, because his boundary was, if somebody's sick, I'm going to heal them. What he said is, I'm not going to watch someone suffer no matter what you think. I'm going to do it because this is a boundary I have. My boundary is I'm not here. I'm just going to watch someone suffer. Same thing with you. If you have a boundary in place and you know that if you don't apply it, someone's going to suffer. And again, that one is someone is you. You want to tell that guilt, hey, don't do it. It's not going to feel right. I acknowledge you, but let's hush a little bit, so that I can get the things I need out of this situation. So I want to tell y'all how to let go of the guilt for good, all right? For one, I need you to remind yourself that you're not responsible for other people's emotions. You might tell someone no, and they might start going off at you, okay? If you're from the hood, they might start popping off, all right? Not saying I'm from the hood, but maybe I am. I don't know. If they're upset, their feelings do not belong to you. Their feelings belong to them. This is why it's so important for you to take hold of your own feelings, to know that if you say yes to someone, that's a boundary that you're not breaking from yourself. Your only job is to protect your peace, not controlling their reaction. The second thing I want you to do is to practice self-compassion, radically at that. Right? Self-compassion says, look, it's okay for me to choose what I'm choosing. Why would I guilt trip myself about this? Because now if this was your best friend, would you guilt trip your best friend about a decision that really didn't work out for them? Going back to that dog example, your best friend's telling you like, look, girl, you know, my neighbor asked me to walk their dog. I'm kind of free, but I really don't want to do it because I wanted to rest today. Should I feel guilty? My bet is you might tell them, no, don't feel guilty about that. You've worked 6 days out of the week, 40-hour shifts or 20-hour shifts. It's time for you to rest. 20-hour doesn't make sense, but you've worked. All right, you've been working. You would offer so much compassion to that friend. So you need to offer that same radical self-compassion to yourself. And the third thing here that I need you to do is, instead of feeling guilty, let's flip it into gratitude. Instead of saying like, I feel bad for saying no, you can say something like, I'm grateful that I'm choosing peace over people pleasing. You can say, I'm proud I respected myself, or I'm relieved I no longer have to give in to other people's requests and I can honor my own. You have the power to decide who stays in your life and who doesn't. And that's something no one talks about, right? We oftentimes will appease others just for them to stay, especially if we know they overuse us and they actually make us guilty or make us feel guilty when we decide to implement a boundary. But see, that person who doesn't respect your boundary actually doesn't respect your time. So it's really up to you to say, hey, I want to stay in this relationship, friendship, co-worker relationship, be friends with my cousin. Or you can say, nah, this isn't for me, because you have the power of who stays and who goes. The people who are really in love with your presence, your aura, your character, they'll adjust. They'll realize like, hey, he or she, they mean business. And we know not to tread on their boundary too much because your peace is worth so much more than the approval that you'll get from them, because you can't really take that approval with them. But you know what you can take? The peace that you get inside knowing that you respected your own boundary. If you made it this far, I want you to comment in the comment section, my peace is worth it. Because guess what? When you have peace, you have boundaries, and boundaries are not bad. Again, you can hear my voice right now. Stop what you're doing. Type my peace is worth it, because I need other people to understand that peace is so much more than just like, oh, let me appease this person. Peace is saying, hey, I've respected a rule that I have out for myself that I've also given to others, and now is my chance to really implement it and show people that I honor myself. Because the boundaries that you're gonna have, they're acts of self-love and self-respect. And if people are not gonna honor your boundary, they can go, but at least honor your own boundary. I don't want y'all to leave without hitting the like button, please, so that again, other people just like you can find this video, find it helpful, send it to a friend who needs to hear this. Because guilty or feeling guilty and feeling ashamed of upholding a boundary doesn't belong in your life. I have a ebook in the description box for you. Go ahead and give it a look. It's called Cure My Anxiety, Lord. I give you practical tools and scriptures to help ease your way out of anxiety and moving into peace, because God already tells us cast our cares on him because he cares for us. So why are we holding on to that anxiety? Go ahead, download the book, see if you like it, send it to a friend who also might need some workings to help unwork or undo the anxious wiring they have in their brain. If you've enjoyed this video again and you have not hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video like this. Walk good, keep the vibes high. I'll see you in the next video, so you got to click the next video. Bye.